Hey, we're here with the talented and fabulous Christina Grimmie. Thanks so much for coming to Yahoo.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you sounded great, and you did that performance in one take.
I did, yeah. Well, my brother's great, and he played the guitar for me, so he'll nod his head no, but
I'm nodding my head yes. But of course, then again, like, you had to learn how to perform under pressure, and a lot of people who are watching this will, of course, know you from The Voice, where I'm sure performing in a room like this is nothing compared to performing for millions of people. But what's interesting is you were a finalist. You made it all the way to the finale in your season of The Voice, but you recently won another contest. Another pretty awesome contest. Let's talk about like what this new opportunity is.
Well, I will be in Las Vegas on September 18th. I won the what it's called the Macy's iHeart Rising Star competition, and basically it was a contest to see who would be opening the entire iHeartRadio Music Festival. And my fans carried me all the way to number one, and it's just an extreme blessing to be able to say that I will be performing, basically opening for every one of the artists that night. So that's
Kanye.
crazy. Yeah,
Duran
Kanye
Duran.
West, Duran Duran, the Killers. I actually just recently found out are performing there as well. So that's
Sam Smith.
kind of intimidating, but it's super cool.
Is it really intimidating though? Because like I said, I mean, you were on one of the biggest shows on TV. You made it all the way finale, and I mean, millions of people watch that. And you have to perform live for votes and for judges' critiques. Like, that has to be a pretty good training ground to not be intimidated by anything.
It was like honestly, I feel like everything I do, had I not done The Voice, would have been way more. I feel like I would just always be nervous for everything. But now, like, especially after The Voice, it kind of teaches you a whole new lesson that you would never learn anywhere else, you know? And that's just to just shake off the nerves, because when you really need it to count, which is on The Voice, that's when you need to be at your best. So you have no choice but to go out there and be the best that you possibly can. So nerves, it's like not even an option. So eventually I kind of got over that a little bit. And there's always a little bit of a jitter, and that's totally normal. And you should always have a little bit of a jitter if you're going out and performing. But
like adrenaline.
yes, adrenaline, and but you can't let that hinder your performance, which luckily has not happened to me on The Voice, which is great.
Or since. Or do you
yes.
ever get nervous? Like, what makes you nervous?
What makes me nervous is crowds that don't seem into it. That's the only time I'm ever nervous, is when you see a lot of them kind of just doing this on their phones, especially like as soon as I walk out. If I'm like, yeah, guys, how are you? What's up? And then it's just,
They could be tweeting about you.
yeah, but I would like a little bit more energy, you know? So when I don't get that, I've kind of had to, train myself to pretend that everyone is having a great time, you know? And you don't always get those crowds. Luckily, that doesn't happen often, but when it does, you need to kind of push through and just pretend everyone loves you a lot.
Well, it's going to be an interesting experience for you at iHeart then, because with all those big names that you mentioned, and it's a real diverse bill, so there'll be some people that are there for Sam Smith, or some people there for Kenny Chesney or whatever, but a lot of people might not be familiar with you. And
Exactly.
and you are opening the show, so you got to have to set the tone. So, like, what are you going to do? Like, what's your plan?
Well, okay. I opened for Selena Gomez for 2 tours. I know what it's like to go up on stage and no one know who you are, and not really even care, like, because you're Selena Gomez, she's like huge, and everyone there in the front row with their Selena signs, like, I'm just kind of like singing to them, and they're just like, just kind of like staring at you. And luckily though, her crowds are just great, they're sweethearts. So but that was really nerve-wracking. So after doing that, it's like, of course I had to just kind of adapt to those crowds and giving the best that I possibly can in a show. So yeah, for iHeart, it's a little bit of the same. I'm going to be opening for a bunch of big names, but I've just, I have a lot of experience under my belt, so I'm kind of going in very positive and not as nervous as one would think, because I'm just really blessed that I have the opportunity, so I'm trying to make the most of that.
Well, speaking of making the most of an opportunity, what have you been doing since you left The Voice? Because obviously that's a great platform, and you've been putting out music and stuff. Like, how do you capitalize on the fact that you were on a show like that and take it to the next level of your career?
Well, I've just been doing press every which way, which is crazy. I've never gotten that kind of exposure before, obviously. So The Voice really helped launch me as a serious artist, and for, different outlets to take me seriously. So I've been getting interviews I've never had before, doing gigs that I've never done before. So that's really cool. I've just been doing a lot of writing as well, preparing for the new music that I want to put out. I don't exactly have a date or anything, but I have big plans, so don't worry.
Kind of a loaded question, but do you think it is a blessing that you did not win The Voice? Because a lot of times, and particularly on The Voice, actually, I'm seeing that a lot of the success stories that come out of that show are not the people who won. They're the people who went off and were free agents afterwards.
Yeah, I've said since that night, I was like, there's no way anyone who is in my place could ever possibly complain about third place, because third place means you're there at the final night when they announce the winner. You're basically a winner, you know. So absolutely, there was a huge blessing, and again, a huge stepping stone into everything that I'm doing now that I would have never been able to do. And luckily, you know, all the big people out there who are kind of looking for new artists don't really care if you have the winning title. No. You know, they're just looking for, you know, people that are great to work with, people that are friendly and who are professional. So I'm trying to, you know, keep that up whenever, you know, all these new opportunities I've been getting. I'm just trying to be as professional as possible and show them, like, I'm the real deal. Like, I'm who you want to hire. So
when you say show people you're a professional as possible, is there any stigma in the business from having come from YouTube or having come from a singing competition? Is there any skepticism among people?
Coming from YouTube, yeah, a lot of people, they just tend to not take you as seriously. Like I said, I've gotten a lot more attention after The Voice because, you know, I guess being able to handle, quote unquote, a show like The Voice with the pressure and stuff, I guess people were like, oh, wow, that's cool that she could do that, I guess. And, you know, YouTube is just, you sit down with the camera and that's great too. It's just a whole other side of you though. So, you know, it's cool that I've done both. You know, you've done the personal YouTube and then you've done the, you know, big stage, The Voice stuff.
Well, it's kind of interesting because I actually feel maybe a decade ago or even 5 years ago, shows like before The Voice, American Idol, that was how people like yourself, young people who, you know, didn't have a record deal, whatever, were trying to get discovered. And now I actually think YouTube or Vine is where they're, so you were sort of a little bit ahead of your time, or you sort of did it the reverse way. You did.
I did, yeah. I did, which is interesting. But yeah, it couldn't have happened at a better time, you know? I felt like YouTube was a huge blessing that ever skyrocketed into what it did. And my fans that I, you know, grew from back in the day, I still have to this day, which is amazing. And it's only getting stronger and, you know, more widespread, which is great. And so, yeah, it is reversed. I didn't even think of that. But, yeah, it's interesting.
There's so many people now doing covers on YouTube or even doing originals on YouTube who are hoping that they'll be the next you or the next Justin Bieber or whoever. Like, what advice would you give them about how they can stand out? I mean, I know it's a little different now because now there's so many people flooding YouTube. But what advice would you give on how they can turn that into a real career?
I mean, if you're a musician, for instance, I kind of always say if you write your own songs and you do your own thing and uniqueness is special to you, it's not just special to you, it's special to everyone watching. Everyone likes, you know, that unique quality in people, and they gravitate to that. So I say, you know, if you're putting up original content or something like that, always throw in a cover or two as well, just so people are searching, you know, those songs, and then put your own twist on it. And then people kind of see your stamp on it, and, you know, then they'll search for your stuff more often.
Whatever happened with Adam Levine's offer for you to sign to his label? He made such a big deal about that on the finale.
He did, and I would truly like to think that he was sincere about that. But, you know, contractually with things, I went with a big label, and Adam, of course, was not going to fight me on that one. He's like, you know, if a big label wants you, a big label wants you. So, but, I mean, as of right now, I'm independent, and honestly, like, it's actually great because, you know, sometimes when you're in label situations, they tend to shelve people, and I'm like, I'm happy that I'm not one of the shelved people. You know, I'm kind of free to do what I want to do and release things that I want to release.
So you signed to, was it Island? What happened with that? It just kind
of, like, I think they were just busy with all their other artists that are really upcoming. You know, they had like Shawn Mendes and Kaisa, and they were all blowing up, and but yeah, I just kind of, like, we just parted ways, like, mutually. It wasn't like a bad crazy thing. It
wasn't a bad breakup.
Yeah, no, not at all.
And the plan is now to self-release or to independently put out your music?
I mean, if a label comes along and hears my stuff and is like, yeah, like, let's make a deal, you know, we'll talk then. But as of right now, I'm planning on independent releases, and I've kind of always done it that way. So
it's been working for you so far?
It's been working out, yeah. So
what kind of, describe the new music you're working on? We obviously heard one of the songs today, and we've heard the recorded version of it as well. But like, is that the basic vibe, or that's kind of like a breakup song or a revenge song?
Yeah, I mean, the vibes are kind of all over the place in terms of message, you know. But I write a lot of piano music, and then I write a lot of guitar music, and then there's a lot of like just crunk jams, like Shrug, you know. So it's kind of it's just about picking carefully what I want, and I actually really thinking about my next single being something a little more meaningful, because I haven't really done an artsy Grimmie for a while, and that's what everyone kind of really loves the YouTube scene for, is just, you know, all my piano covers and stuff. So I might you know, treat them with a little something a little bit artsier than I've done.
And the I Heartsy set you'll be doing, like, what will we get from that? I assume you'll do the new single, but will you do any covers? Will you do any stuff you did on The Voice?
Yes. It's a balance between some really upbeat originals, and then kind of goes into some good old piano, and then kind of dips back up. It's a roller coaster. That's what I like to call it. I like to give my show some dynamics, so, you know.
I'm officially putting in the request for the Drake song, of course.
Yes, actually, I will spoil it for you. That is in there, so.
Because I requested it, right?
Yeah.
Just now. You just
absolutely.
decided.
I just decided right now.
Awesome.
That it's going to be in it. So, of course.
Thank you so much. And thank you for coming to Yahoo, and
Thanks for having
giving
me.
us a little taste of what we'll see at the festival and from you in the future.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, guys.
Yahoo!